Hi everybody, this is the Truth Pill, and just as I promised, here's my video on why the beauty standard is not real. Let's get right into it. So it's been very disheartening seeing black women walk around with this concept of beauty standard as a whole at the forefront of their minds, and they're letting this solidify insecurity about their phenotype, and it dictates their behavior and interactions with men. Black women, and actually women in general, don't understand why men choose who they do. By the way that women talk about themselves online, because I listen to y'all's conversations, I can tell that many of you truly believe that there's something inherently unattractive or wrong with your features. And by the way that other races of women behave, I can tell that they also believe that they are inherently above what they perceive to be the lower ranks of the beauty hierarchy. I hate that I even have to say this, but it must be said. You think that a man finding dark skin or kinky hair or whatever isn't white, it's just a slip or a coincidence. For black girls, that's why you're always asking things like, does he like black girls? Because you don't believe that beauty can be seen and attracted equally. Subconsciously, you think it's slightly unusual or just by the grace of God when a man, black or white or any race, finds a black woman attractive. You think there's levels to it, and you think that at the final level, a man's default is to find white, blonde, blue-eyed, and skinny attractive. You secretly are surprised when a man doesn't find that attractive or rejects a girl like that. Case in point, Amaya on Love Island. So this black woman came to TikTok to say she just couldn't believe the men on that show weren't crazy about her, because in this woman's words, Amaya is light-skinned with green eyes. Like, this girl was like, oh, there's no way men can't like her. This girl was acting like she was taking it personally. And I just thought, wow, that's a way to be colorist. But she's just one example out of many. You can almost type in certain phenotypes into the TikTok or Twitter search, and you're going to find all kinds of these conversations going on. Do y'all remember that lacy trend where the girls were saying that white woman is their lacy, aka something they can never be but long to be? So it's ridiculous things like that letting me know that you truly do believe something is wrong with your looks. And of course, the quiet part. The women who feel they are the beauty standard or closer to it, having this secret ego boost. So just remember, whatever you're feeling in a downward way towards yourself, they are feeling the inverse, that they're above you. And you can see this in all the, unnecessary hair flips, the snide comics, etc. But I don't think they're quite as vocal as the girls who feel inferior, because if they did come out and admit how big they felt in comparison to you, the same women saying how inferior they are would rip them apart. So that's really ironic. Anyways, let's get to the meat of this, how the beauty standard is not real. I'm going to talk about white men, black men, and then we'll group the other races in there because they kind of fall under white or black men's reasoning. So first of all, the thing you have to understand about white men, they have cultivated a society and culture that was meant to uphold their control. So everything about the culture of America and the West was meant to enforce one sole thing, the power of white men in the world. If you really understand this, you'll soon see that there was little other choice but to wield violence, religion, and all manner of other mind games to keep everyone in their place. So how does this tie into the beauty standard? Well, white men need white women to reproduce white children, because their power has always been about being literally white. So if your resource to make images of yourself is one specific group of women, then of course you'll have to form an entire culture around praising her, because duh, you need your heir, and she's the only one who can provide it in the exact right color. And guess what? Women, being the evil people that they are in the same capacity as men, I don't let women off on this channel, so don't even expect that. Women are going to add on all kinds of other cultural standards to this very baseline necessity as well. The base is a white man needs a white woman to make a white child to continue his so-called white supremacy, put in quotes, which is based on race. The additions are she enjoys his power and the violence he does to others at her request, and because she is a woman and interested in attention and decoration, he pleases her by writing poems and songs about her, making art of her, movies and shows about her, and so forth. And because he is a man and lustful, he also puts her up in other places. He makes Marilyn Monroe. He makes Brooke Shields. He makes Barbie. He makes those car and restaurant ads with the blondes. He makes her a flight stewardess and requires that she stay skinny and blonde to serve the businessman on his trip. All of these things that you see that are reinforcing the so-called beauty standard. And even as years pass by and movements happen and other women declare and return to their beauty, he upholds his woman for those exact reasons. I'm not saying this is good or bad. That's not the point. I'm pointing out to you the logic behind the so-called beauty standard that you believe places white women at the top for some divine, inherent reason, and not a very practical, straightforward one. Because there's something else to examine here too. The jealousy that white women have had for black women throughout history is very well documented, and it stems from white men's attraction to black women. I could go into the sexualization and rapes of enslaved women, but that would honestly require a video for another day. But I will say this, it happens so much that the average black American has 24% European DNA. It happens so much that there's books written on it. It happens so much that societies of mulattoes and quadroons formed. It happens so much that we got the first light-skinned people, in the Americas. that a grandmother can say the only free people is a white man and a black woman. If y'all find that video, or if your elders also said that, please let me know. I heard similar growing up. But anyways, it is one of the reasons why you all struggle to embrace your hair today, because you were not allowed to have long hair as an enslaved woman, and you were required to wrap your head. And white women were doing all kinds of things to keep their men from lusting after or interacting with enslaved women. Or not. Remember how I told you that women were as evil as men? Yeah, sometimes they were offering you up to their men when they didn't want to be the sexual sacrifice themselves. This is also documented. I'm not done yet. Let's scroll to the present. You can say, well, the numbers for black woman, white man relationships are still pretty low. So that proves a lack of physical interest. Again, I find it a little beneath me even having to address this, because when you're where I am, it's such a silly conversation, but it needs to be said. First of all, that number's growing, but secondly, and most importantly, it was never about physical attraction. It was about two things. Both black women and white men carry a heavy responsibility towards their communities. They carry more responsibility than their counterparts. So it was important for them to always reproduce within their race. White men's responsibility was to continue their lineage. Their families wanted them to marry a white woman, have white children, pass down white wealth, right? Why do you think older, wealthier white men are often visibly pursuing black women? Because they've been released from that responsibility. They may be on their second wife, so they've already done that with the first white wife. And you can go online and very easily witness this, because everybody lives online now. For black women, it was shame. Black men and other black women use black women's history with white men to shame them out of interacting with them, and society as a whole encouraged black women to feel that the only man who could possibly want them was a black man. It was also a sense of duty. Black women have been made to feel that they are doing a disservice to their already broken community by choosing a white man. And black women felt their black men were all they had, so in an attempt to win black men's approval and in desperation to keep them from other races of women, they very loudly proclaimed how much they only wanted a black man. Now come all the way to the present. Black women are having these conversations. More and more have stopped saying that it's a black man or nothing. Other men are listening. As society changes and expectations are not as rigidly constructed, black women are branching out and discovering that they were always beautiful and physically desirable. So now you will see younger white men with black women now, and you will see black women saying, go where you're loved. I like to share my experience. I found as a dark-skinned black woman with afro hair that white men will always compliment my hair, especially when it's in a fro or puffs. And I have long hair, what they call actual 4C hair, and even when it was short, I've always received compliments, but I'm authentically myself in my appearance, and I think that's always been appreciated by all kinds of people. So what am I saying here? Well, for white men specifically, it is not about physical attraction alone. It is about practicality, producing someone who looks like you, supporting your community and your women who look like you. Obviously you're going to like the women who look like you. And then here's something women of all races have to accept. The men who look like us will most likely find us beautiful, but the reasons why they pick us aren't specifically about the look itself. Black women understand this very, very well. They've been rejected enough by black men to know that belonging to a man's race isn't going to make him loyal to you only. And of course that leads me to my next point. Black men and their reasons. So, black men are operating within white patriarchy. And as I have said before, patriarchy is an agreement between males that one male will dominate and the other will submit. Black men have submitted. In their submission, they must take on white men's ideals. So what does that mean? Well, I'm about to answer your question of why black men seem to love white women so much. The answer is simple. It's because white men have them. In this current patriarchy and system, it is actually unusual and extra work for a black man to uplift black women, because if he does that, what he's doing is rebelling against white men. And a man is nothing without a woman. But when he takes on a woman, he becomes society, culture, community, a nation. So if a black man truly takes on a black woman, he's saying, I disagree with white male dominance. I promote black male dominance. This is how the patriarchal system works. So that's what that really is. Then of course, you add on all the negative stereotypes about black women, most of them ones that black men themselves have created. And why have they done that? Well, because they have to distance themselves from rebellion. And the really, really big cherry on top of all of this, black men respect white men. So they see what white men have accomplished in the world, and they would love to have that feeling. They think the magic and luck is somehow within a white woman, so they try to achieve that, and usually they fail miserably. Now I'm going to say this. Black men are very, very resentful of black women, and that also contributes to the dislike or what you all perceive as lack of attraction. It's not for really any of the reasons most black women assume either. I'm going to make another video on that topic. Can't get into it here because it goes off the point. But yeah, just keep that in mind. But anyways, we have the remaining question. Well, why can black men sleep with, date, even marry, and at a much higher rate make black women baby mamas if they're not attracted to them? Well, you're answering your own question. It's not about attraction. It's about perceived power and staying within the hierarchy. And in the same way white men need white women for white children in white society, black men need black women for their labor. It's very sinister and it's ugly, but that's literally what it is. Black men keep messing with you because you're their first line of survival. They have your house, your food, your love, your energy, even your protection. So no matter how much they hate you and everything your blackness stands for, they're definitely going to keep on exploiting you if you let them, because you're literally keeping them alive. Now, I'm not going to go into all the other races, but the same logic applies for them as well and their perceptions of their own women, white women and black women. Basically all boils down to non-white men want to feel better about themselves by having something white men have always, almost exclusively, had access to. Again, as the world changes, you're steadily seeing this lie about the beauty standard fall all apart. So, my final thing to say is this: there is no beauty standard. Please understand this. When men deal with women, they deal with you for reasons. They deal with you because they need sex, first and foremost. Any woman can fulfill that if she looks good enough. Clean yourself up and you can attract probably any man you want. Boom, the beauty standard ain't real. The second reason he deals with a woman: children. He needs to reproduce. He may or may not want you to look a certain color for that. He may be a black man wanting mixed children, or anything really. Third reason: she is giving him something he can't get from the world. Any of you can possibly fulfill that. So the good news and bad news: women, understand that you are not special. You may be special within the context of your own worth, but you are not special to a man. Whether your hair is black or blonde, curly or straight, whether your skin is dark or pale, you are not special. He picked you for a specific need, a specific fulfillment, to uphold a specific thing, whatever that is. And that's why the beauty standard is fake. So now that you know that, you can stop grilling yourself or walking around with your head raised. These practical reasons, media, and other men's approval has presented certain illusions, but at the end of the day, you are all women with the same parts and functions. And I think we're increasingly seeing that, to be honest. I mean, to me, it's very clear that there is no privilege in certain skin tones or hair textures or body shapes. I have seen all kinds of women be treated well, and I have seen all kinds of women get dogged out. At this point, I truly believe women are perpetrating and upholding this standard even more than men, because some of y'all like to imagine that some of you are above others, and some of you like to feel like you're ugly, defeated victims. And all I can say to that is, go wash your hair and get over it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'd love to know your thoughts and experience with men, and I'm glad I can share this with you. This is the Truth Pill Black.